Hello everyone and welcome back to the cavern. Today we've got something a little bit different from PAX Unplugged this year at the Noble Dwarf booth. I ended up getting the Beholder, otherwise known as the Count, and he didn't have any in stock. He was planning on taking orders and then mailing them out. I got mine just after Christmas. I let him know, I'm like, hey, it's not a Christmas gift, it's just for me. So I understand if people are ordering stuff for someone else, rush those first. I'm not worried about the time frame for this one. So it arrived very well packaged, no damage, to it at all from printing. No issues, no chips, nothing like that sometimes you'll get if you get a figure in the mail. Did take me a couple of seconds. I say seconds, but we're speeding up the video here, so solid couple of minutes figuring out which eye stalks went where. Of course, when I was Marine Corps, so if it's not color coded by Crayola coding, I'm gonna have a solid minute. I'm gonna need to put something together. But the Count is a little bit different because he's got a top hat, a cape, he's got, little bracers on his eye stalks, and he's holding a glass. And he's got a cute little bow tie too. So he's more so a, tabletop figure to keep on your desk or things like that versus something you would necessarily use in game. I guess you could. I can include a snapshot here of the scale of him versus the actual Beholder figures that you'll get from WizKids or the like. So all in all, it's pretty solid. The only thing that was a bit odd to me, and you'll see it once you get to seeing these all together, is a few of the, I keep wanting to say tendrils, even though they're stalks technically. A couple of them have a different shade to them. Now, I'm not super knowledgeable about different types of plastics you're going to use when it comes to 3D printing or things like that. Or if maybe one they set different versus the other ones. And I'm painting the figure, so it wasn't really a big issue with me by any means. It was just a little, little something if I'm just giving an honest review of what came right out of the box. All in all, once you figure out what goes where, it's a pretty easy assemble. And here we're going to see him all put together. He is the adorable little golf ball, and he's freaking precious. I love him. I did wait a couple of months to paint him. I really wanted to wait until I got something with a setup and an airbrush, just because I wanted a more even coating, just because of how he's printed. But I'm impatient, so we're gonna do him all hand brushing, just like we've done everything else on this channel. And there's no shame in that. We can make him look okay, I'm not gonna get all of the painting done in this video, but at least the first couple of stages, and always werewolf for scale. And this is why I'm saying I don't think you'd use them on the actual board, but I guess you could if you really wanted to. So what we're going to do is we're going to tape up the ends and some of the holes so it doesn't get any paint in it, and then we're going to prime him. Now, forgive me here, I do put my hand in front of the camera a couple times, but we have our Army Painter primer. I'm just using the matte white that they provide. I at least had the forethought to number the eye stalks in the order that they go on to the fitting on the back, so I'm not stuck there, second guessing myself every time when I want to go put him back together. So I'm doing a light coated primer here. It's humid outside, so it's going to have sticking issues, but I also don't mind any color variances we might have from some of the gray showing through. It's a Beholder. It's got, he doesn't have to be congruent the entire way through. Maybe he has a couple bad scales or something. Maybe they're about to fall off. You never know. And yes, I know they're not scales, they're plates and yada yada. I'll pull out iTyrant and cite it if I need to for the purists that might appear down in the comments. So like I said, we're just doing a real light coat of the primer on here, and then we're gonna go in and figure out what color scheming we want to use on this guy. Now, I just have to make one confession. It took every ounce of me not to want to chuck the main piece of his body like a golf ball just across the parking lot. I mean, it's just that perfect sphere that you just I mean, yeah, you want to treat it like a racquetball and just give it a good whip, but you know, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. Oh, and kids, always clear your spray can. Do a couple, that's what I'm doing here, or did there. A couple upside down, make sure it's cleared out. Now, here we got him. You can see, like I said, that primer's a little bit patchy, but I'm not super worried about it. He's decently coated enough, and for some portions, they're going to be covered where his cape is and things like that. Now, for the cape, again, I'm cool with that, how that's split, because it kind of gives you some extra fabric texture that you might be running into. As for colors, I have no idea. I really don't. For the cape and the top hat, I mean, that's really easy. I'm just going to do a flat black, just that deep black. I mean, there's no question with that. But the thing I'm a sucker for is this right here. These Turbo Dork paints, oh my god. I love how they look. I love how reflective they are. So we're going to do that base coat with the Abaddon black, and then we're going to throw a couple of thin coats of the rainbow roll on top. So, I mean, it's just a rainbow glitter fun fest. For our base beholder here, what I decided on doing, if you look back at my original video, my very first one, I used the base colors of the original beholder design, which was orange and purple. Now, I'm not going to use the purple in this one. I think I'm just going to do a warm tone. So I'm going to do a base coat with my Fireball orange here, and then I think I'm going to do some dry brushing or something of some sort of this burnt orange. I'm trying to use up all my old paints before I buy new ones, so we're rolling with those. Oh, and I've been asked before to do a nice little aesthetic paint pour. This is why I don't do them. Remember, I said these were old paints. Oh, yeah, and that's it. Yep. So here's our solution here. You just pop it and pour the whole thing out. There's nothing really aesthetic with the way I do things. Now, what I'm going to decide to do for some of these boys, instead of doing a base coat on the eye stalk and a base coat that's separate for his little gauntlet, I'm saying gauntlet bracer, what would it be? I'm not sure. I'm just going to do the orange on everything, so I know that I have that nice flat undertone when I'm working with it. When I started painting, I didn't do that because I was really worried about I guess the base tone coming through badly or poorly if I went to do any sort of accents or like a solid white. So like on these, you'll see that I end up doing the orange over the eye stalks and then still painting the whites for the eyes over top of it, and it ends up going okay. Definitely could have gone worse. And you see here with the primer, everything, it goes on fine, it goes on smooth. This piece ends up completely covered by the cape, so I guess I could have just not painted it. But I do want it to blend just a little bit. And you can also see here, I taped up the sides so that we didn't get any paint going into the grooves where the eye stalks go in, just like I showed you how I taped over the actual, I guess, like male or female ends of the eye stalks, so they didn't get added layers, so that they weren't a good fit and I didn't have to shave anything off in the future. Well, I will say I do like the Fireball orange. I like the pop, and I think it's going to look really good with the dry brushing later on. Okay, so this is my dry brush here, all right? If anybody hasn't done it before, I'm not a pro, but this is my little bit. Take a destroyed brush. Don't use a nice brush. Don't use something you're fond of. Take something that you're okay with beating the heck out of, because, I mean, you're going to. That's kind of how it works. You're going to dab just a little bit. As you can see, I'm struggling to get this thing to focus, but just a little bit of paint on there. You don't need a lot. Your brush should be dry. That's why it's called dry brushing. It doesn't need to be soaked. And then you're going to get a little bit of that extra paint off of there. Just dab that either on a paper towel, or I use cloth towels. And then you're just going to lightly go over the section, and you're going to get some of those highlights on there. Now, with the beholders especially, I usually do some light dry brushing and then some heavy. So you'll see some spots on here, I mean, they just look dense with color. But that's something I'm trying to go for, because I don't want it to be totally even. I do want some variance. Now, if I'm doing something that is a fur texture, like I have a cave cat, and I want it to just be that actual fur shading, just that little edging of the fur that I want darker or lighter based on what it is, that's when I will ensure that I don't have any heavy loaded brushes. Just keep a real light loaded brush for that. But again, for the beholder, I like to have a bit of a color variance, because you can see like it's going around bends and things like that. Now there's a bit here, once this gets into focus, you can see how that dry brush right there just kissed the edges of the plates on this beholder, and it really turned out really nice. I'm happy with the lighter kind of yellow gold tone on the orange. Now this is that metallic paint I was telling you about, the thing I'm an absolute sucker for. Again, always have that base coat of black or blue or whatever it has recommended, and you can see the glittering there. And then you're going to do a whole bunch of thin coats. I ended up only using 1 to 2 on this stuff here. I didn't use the full 3 to 5. I do have some where I use the full 3 to 5 layers it recommends, but I usually do that on the metallic paints that are, I don't want to say a single color, but a single hue. When you get the variance, the left to right, like I have a blue one that I had on my Ginny, that I had a couple extra coats on, all because that metallic bit, that glitter bit, was all the same color. This one, where it's the rainbow effect, I feel like you don't need nearly as many coats. That's just me. You can absolutely pile more on there if that's the effect you want to go for. But I can't say enough how much I absolutely love these Turbo Dork paints. And I may catch myself buying a whole set in the future, just for the accents on things, because I mean, they just, I don't know, maybe it's the 90s kid growing up with all the Lisa Frank folders, but I just absolutely love them. All right, so it's time to start putting this guy back together. We got our base coats of most of our things here. Remember how before I said I numbered them in the order they're supposed to go on? Look at me actually being smart for once. So we're gonna put him back together, and then I'm gonna do more of the detail work and then especially the shading once he's all put back together. Now, I just want to take a second to appreciate that. I mean, just see, I mean, just look at that. It's excellent. And yeah, you'll note there's a change of scenery here. I decided to actually migrate all my paint and stuff. Shout out to Call Me Kevin in the background. Excellent, excellent background noise. But I moved it to be in our little library area, so I'm not sitting all by myself at the kitchen counter. All right, so this is what our boy is looking at right now, all put together. You can see there's a little bit of touch up. I have some overpainted areas. I need to do his irises and pupils and things like that, and figure out what kind of shading I want to do on him, whether I want to do a wash or something like that. I'm honestly not 100% sure yet. And here we have our guy so far. I'm still deciding on what I want to do on him. If I want to do any more work shading wise past this point, I might add a little bit more colors on his actual, brim of his hat or his ribboning or things like that. But as for the actual body, I'm not 100% what I'd like to do. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and take care.